So today I am with Emma Sayle, who is founder of a company very weirdly called Killing Kittens. And when I say that, I had no idea what it was. So it sounds quite alarming, but actually it's not. So tell me about it.
It's not, and actually it did stop us getting a bank account for the first 5 years of being a business, the name. It's a cyber slang for every time you masturbate, God kills a kitten. So it's surprising. It's been 15 years and it's always surprising me how few people ever actually ask me why it's called that name, because it is fairly ridiculous.
So tell me what you do.
So basically it was launched to create a safe space, online and offline, for very much women, initially, to have this space to explore their sexuality without judgment, and be completely in control, and a completely safe environment. Because obviously back then, and it's got a lot better now, but back then it was sort of, if you were a single girl, if you even thought about having a one night stand, then it was serious slut shaming. If you even thought about the possibility of that you might be bisexual or bi-curious, it was sort of, there was nowhere really to go, and or a community to be part of to kind of even talk about it. So what started with once a month parties, which
Physical parties.
Yeah, masked, and sex does happen. So there is the sex party side to it, but there's always been a lot more to it than just sex. With kind of half the people that come along don't have sex, and they just come to meet other people and have a really good party. And the rules at the events, and the rules now go across into the online community side of it, is that men can't make the first move. They have to wait for the women to make the first move. And it's sort of what started as a monthly party has sort of grown into, we do events in sort of 36 cities around the world, and the business actually is considered a tech business now, because nearly 60% of our revenue comes from the online side, which sort of over 170,000 members we have, who imagine sort of a Bumble dating meets Facebook is the platform that we have. So there's a big sort of dating side to it, but then there's also the social network and the education side. So over half our events are what we call keep the clothes on events, which are workshops and talks, and that kind of trying to normalize the conversation around sex, so that it's just sort of something that everyone, it's what drives all of us. So why shouldn't people be able to have conversations about it in the same way they talk about their diet and exercise plans? So that's
it's interesting. I mean, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and it's kind of like sex and death are the two last taboos, really, and everyone has sex, so why can't we talk about it? And the more it's swept under the carpet, the more subversive or dangerous it can become. I mean, there's so many questions I want to ask you, and I might have to contact you again another time. I think it's fascinating, and I think that I've kind of not toyed with not even coming to one of your sex parties, which, probably I'm going to be the one missing out. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm too kind of buttoned up to do that. It'd probably do me a lot of good. But I just think the whole thing of like porn, for example, specifically for women, there isn't enough out there from what I can see.
No, there's not enough out there, and I'm a big sort of doing more and more activist sort of side of porn, and the conversations around porn that need to start happening from when they're little. My oldest is 5 and a boy, and he started school in September, and he's already, the language he comes back with around girls, and it's already there. The education around it, it's not real. And consent, and no, that isn't the way you should treat girls, and they're not asking for it, and just sort of that language. It's sort of, porn is very healthy if used right, but I think it's there, and it's not going away, and as parents you can't protect your children from it. You really can't. So I just think they need, the whole education side of sex ed, including porn, needs to be massively addressed.
But I imagine you have a lot of people who are kind of sort of shocked and horrified by what you're doing. How do you get around that?
Massively. I mean, I've had 15 years of abuse and daily abuse, and from being told that I was going to hell, and one Irish caller I think it was BBC Radio Belfast, told me that she could feel the devil with me. Do you know what I think? To me, it's I've had such a strong belief in it and the mission and the importance of it, and just felt it was so unfair and such an imbalanced society we lived in on a sexual front, and so that's always stayed in my head, and the fact it's just sex, and that's what I don't get. And it's, you know, it's societal kind of effects around that have made it bad, and you know, from religion to the patriarchy controlling us. You know, it's sort of, and a lot of people, what I like doing is, you know, I'm quite happy to get abuse, but I sort of, when people say it's wrong and it's disgusting, and I like having the debates and going, well, why is it? Give me the reasons. And no one can. It's like, well, it is, and it's not right, and women should behave. Well, why isn't it right? Why shouldn't women behave? Who's getting hurt? It's sort of, it's that, just having the endless debates and conversations about it and not taking it personally.
Yeah. So do you think there was a point in time where sex, so like even in the Victorian times, it was more acceptable, I think, than it even is today? I mean, it's like people are so zealous and pious about sex, and I think it's kind of regressed almost.
Yeah, I think it has regressed. And also I think what's quite sad is that, you know, the whole, it's Me Too, you know, the Me Too movement has helped, you know, women having more freedom and independence. But what comes with that is this extra threatening the male the male world, the patriarchy, the women, now that we're out and, you know, getting the jobs and in society are on equal footing, there's a big angry man.
Yeah, the power shift. They don't like the power shift.
Exactly. So that they'll come back round in order to try and control and put down, and it's sort of this sort of vicious circle.
Yeah. And how do you deal with anonymity, or do people just, do they waiver their anonymity when they?
When you join the association online, there's a digital online NDA that's on there. Your photos, it's only the vetting photos, it's only the admin that sees it. You can hide them in a private gallery.
Yeah, but what? So let's say Brad Pitt wants to come to one of your sex parties online.
Yeah.
What does he do about that?
And we've had a lot of people like that who've come along and come now. And again, it's sort of all the events, everyone that comes that signs NDAs, it's all masked up. So
you mask.
Yeah. So and even the virtual parties we've been doing in lockdown, it's masked. So, and on that side, you know, the online, it's much easier because it's dark and they can have a mask, and you really, you know, you can pick your username, and the same on the site.
The online one, I mean, how does it work? Because not everyone's in a room together. So does it just go from like one little picture to another, you know, little screenshot to another? How does it work?
Yeah, it's Zoom, and we cap it at 50 screens, which is sort of two swipes, you get 25 on a screen. So and so it's either couples or single girls on there. It's 2 hours. Our events girls host it, and they play icebreaker games, and we have some of our KK cabaret acts, because we do a big night normally once a month.
I just think it's genuinely, I think it's so amazing what you're doing. I really, really do. I think, you're a pioneer, and I have huge respect for what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. Going back to, so what, you know, this is about wardrobe malfunctions, but have you witnessed any wardrobe malfunctions?
There's always wardrobe malfunctions. I mean, I had one of my best ones. You know, I've got 3 littlies and have never really haven't taken any maternity leave with them, so it's sort of straight back in.
Yeah.
And we had a big Halloween one 3 weeks after I gave birth to my first child. So it was all spandex and latex up, and I was spanxed up, and was on the door doing reception, and someone said, "You're leaking," and I had the milk. So I had to sit in the car and let in the car.
Not very sexy.
Not at all. And express. Yeah. Through 3 layers of spandex. But our staff, we've got these really beautiful sort of long black lace dresses, quite holy lace dresses, and big mansion parties, big staircases, and they're forever. We might need to change the dresses, actually, getting heels stuck in the bottom of the dresses. Dresses come off. So it's kind of always, with all our girls at work, is sort of make sure you've got really good underwear on.
How does your husband feel about it?
Do you know what? I've been here with him 7.5, nearly 8 years. So
Yeah.
it was well and truly going.
Yeah.
And he knew that, and he, I met him through, I do loads of sport, and met him through a whole, big sport group. And he knows it's just business. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's always been just business from day one. And it's never been, I always say someone needs to keep their clothes on. So it's always sort of,
that's you. Yeah.
it was never, people sort of assume, I was thinking I was 24 when I started it, and single, and people assume there's no way in hell a sane individual would start something like this unless they were properly into the sex themselves. But actually the irony is I was the most insecure 24-year-old who the thought of being naked in front of anyone terrified me. So it was very much a kind of looking in, and actually part of it was sort of looking at what I wanted inside of me, what I wish I could be able to do, and providing it. And the irony is now age 42 with 3 kids, and now I couldn't give a shit about being naked, and but that ship has sailed. So
it's funny, isn't it? I mean, I feel that I couldn't care less about being naked either, unless it's to wear few clothes to try and look sexy. Then I give a shit. I feel so mortified and embarrassed. Whereas if I'm just naked and showing, rolls of fat and whatever, it doesn't matter. I do not give a damn. But if it's trying to look kind of attractive and alluring, it's never going to happen, and I feel mortified. So Emma, what do you wear to an orgy?
So the dress code we have is pretty much cocktail dress for most of the events, and mask. So cocktail dress and mask, and I say to everyone, even because a lot of first timers come along and go, oh, we're not going to get naked, we're not going to get involved, we're going to keep our clothes on, and I just say, just wear your stunt pants, because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen after a couple of hours. And we've had people who have been adamant they're not going to get involved, or they're not even going to go out, dance around in their underwear, and then suddenly 2 hours in they realize they're wearing their Spanx granny bashers and they really want to get naked and just dance in front of the DJ. So
well, I definitely want to talk to you some more about this, because I'm just fascinated by this whole arena, and I think it's really important for our kids. I mean, I've got older kids, so 21, 19 and 16. And it's something that I feel they should discover on their own, but it's kind of like providing a subtle map for them to get there. And the whole educational side, I think is really important. And
you hear the conversation all the time. It's sort of, and you see letters from friends' schools going out asking the girls to wear longer skirts, because the boys have been putting phones up and, taking pictures. And you go, just that language is blaming the girl. And there's small things of just how you can change the conversation and the language so that girls don't grow up thinking it's all on them and it's their fault. And, like domestic abuse is like, well, why does she stay with him? No one ever says, well, why is he beating her up? It's, everything's, the onus is always on the girls.
Yeah. Which charity, are you affiliated to any sort of charitable organisations?
We've done a lot with Refuge. And with all of April, any event we did in April, all our virtual events, 100% of the profit went to Refuge. And I actually launched a campaign called Hit Against Hit with 2 friends, which was doing HIT workouts against hitting, and that was all going to Women's Aid and Refuge. It's like a social media campaign in lockdown, because the whole domestic abuse stats just terrified me. I've been there, done that, been in those relationships, and as soon as lockdown happened, it was something that was just keeping me awake at night. So
well done you. I think it's absolutely amazing, genuinely. I'm so blown away, and it's so interesting to know what's behind the misconceived facade. There's huge. I get it all the time. People go, oh, you're not what we were expecting. I'm like, what did you expect? So dominatrix clad kind of whip. And they're like, yeah, pretty much. Well, Emma, it's been enlightening talking to you, genuinely, and I think it's amazing what you're doing, and
thank you.
You have my full support and respect. And who knows, maybe, actually no, I won't. Well, who knows, maybe I'll dip my toe in. Who the hell knows? All right, my love. Well, listen, you stay safe, and thank you so much for taking part.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, Angel, take care.
Bye.
Bye.